My mother leaned forward across the courtroom table and snapped, "She's not even blood to that money. Give it to your brother like it should be." My father nodded beside her, arms folded, staring at the judge like the decision was already made. My brother looked down at the floor, saying nothing. Relatives filled the benches behind us. Every whisper felt like a knife. The judge turned to me and said, "Ms. Hayes, do you want to respond to your parents' claim?" My throat tightened. I slowly stood, feeling every pair of eyes on me. My voice came out quiet but steady. "You really want to do this here?" I asked. My mother rolled her eyes. My father smirked. I took a breath and said, "Because what I say next will change everything in this room." Hi, I'm Lauren Hayes. I'm 34 years old. I live in a small town in Ohio where nothing dramatic usually happens. I work as a mid-level accountant at a local manufacturing company. My life has always been simple. Numbers, spreadsheets, quiet evenings at home. Growing up, I was the daughter who helped with bills, fixed computer problems, and drove my grandmother to doctor visits. My brother was the one my parents praised at every family dinner. He had big dreams, big plans, and somehow always needed money to chase them. I never complained. I just worked harder. My grandmother noticed that. Before she passed away, she left me $200,000 in her will. She said it was because she saw my effort and loyalty. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something my parents never expected. Proof they couldn't erase. If you've ever felt like the quiet backup plan in your family while someone else got all the praise, you understand this feeling. Hit that subscribe button right now if that story sounds familiar. I want to hear your experience too. Share it in the comments. This space is for people who know what it feels like to be overlooked but still keep going. Your voice matters here. A week after my grandmother's funeral, the entire family gathered in a lawyer's office for the will reading. The room smelled like old paper and coffee that had been sitting too long. My mother sat stiffly beside my father, while my brother scrolled on his phone. When the lawyer finished reading the will and announced the $200,000 was left to me, the room went silent. Then my mother laughed. It was sharp and cold. "That can't be right," she said. "Lauren must have tricked her." My father leaned forward and said the money was supposed to help my brother start his business. My mother stood up and said loudly, in front of every aunt and uncle, "She doesn't deserve a dime of that money." I felt the room shift. Faces turned toward me. 3 days later, my father filed paperwork contesting the will. Within a week, I was summoned to court. When I told them I wouldn't sign the money over, my father smiled and said, "Just sign it and save everyone the embarrassment." After that, things turned ugly fast. My parents sent a group message saying I wasn't welcome at family dinners anymore until I dropped the claim. Holidays came and went without an invitation. My mother started telling people at church that I had forged Grandma's signature. Soon, aunts who used to hug me stopped returning my calls. One even told me, "You should do the right thing and give your brother what was meant for him." The worst moment came when my brother called me late one night. His voice was shaking. "Lauren, please," he said. "If you keep the money, Mom and Dad said they'll cut me off too." I closed my eyes and listened to the sound of rain hitting my window. "That's not my fault," I told him quietly. "This was Grandma's choice." He hung up without another word. On the outside, I stayed calm. I went to work. I smiled at coworkers. Inside, though, I was building something. Every night, I opened old emails from Grandma, every letter she mailed me, every message where she talked about the will. I saved them all. I organized them carefully, one by one. My parents believed pressure would break me. They didn't know I was already preparing for the moment they pushed too far. What they never knew was that my grandmother had been thinking ahead long before she passed away. About 3 years earlier, she started sending me copies of important documents by email. At the time, I thought she was just being cautious. One message stood out. She wrote, "Lauren, keep these copies somewhere safe. I don't fully trust your parents with my final wishes." At the bottom, she added something that made my chest tighten when I read it again later. "This money is for you only. They will try to change it." I saved that message in a folder on my computer. Then there were the letters, real ones with her handwriting. In one, she explained why she wanted me to have the inheritance. She said she had watched me work hard while others demanded more than they gave. Every time I reread those words, I felt both sadness and strength. I stayed quiet during the legal fight. I let my parents believe their accusations were working. Meanwhile, I printed copies, scanned everything, and organized a thick folder of proof. A week before the hearing, my cousin Jenna called me. She had always been the rebel of the family. She moved away years ago after fighting with my parents about how they treated people. "I heard the rumors," she said bluntly. "They're telling everyone you forged the will." I sighed. I figured. Jenna asked if she could come over. That night, we sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by papers and laptops. The smell of fresh coffee filled the room as we scanned every document into a secure cloud folder. Jenna shook her head while reading Grandma's emails. "Lauren, this is crystal clear," she said. "They're going to look ridiculous in court." Meanwhile, my parents acted like victory was guaranteed. Relatives told me they were already celebrating at Sunday dinners. My mother supposedly said the money would be in my brother's account by next month. Hearing that made something inside me go cold. I stopped hoping they would apologize. Instead, I focused on the hearing date circled on my calendar. The day of the dispute hearing arrived inside a quiet conference room at the lawyer's office. My parents walked in smiling, like they were attending a celebration. My brother followed behind them, pale and nervous. Papers were laid across the long wooden table. The lawyer explained that if I agreed, the inheritance could be transferred to my brother immediately. My father pushed a document toward me. "Sign it," he said calmly. "Let's end this." I didn't move. Instead, I reached into my bag and slid a thick folder across the table. "Before anyone signs," I said, "you should read these." The lawyer opened the folder and began scanning the pages. First came Grandma's emails, then the handwritten letters, then the notarized copy she had mailed me years earlier. The lawyer cleared his throat and began reading one message aloud. The room went silent except for his voice. My mother's face slowly lost its color. My father leaned forward, eyes wide. When the lawyer finished, he looked up and said the documents confirmed the will's intent without question. My father shook his head. "This can't be right," he muttered. The lawyer closed the folder and said calmly, "The case is finished. The inheritance belongs to Lauren." Within weeks, the $200,000 was officially transferred to me. I walked out of the bank that day feeling something I hadn't felt in years: control. My parents were left dealing with the legal fees from their challenge. Word spread through the family quickly about how the documents proved Grandma's wishes. Some relatives called to apologize. Others stayed silent. My parents never admitted they were wrong, but they stopped calling, they stopped accusing. For the first time in my adult life, the pressure they had always placed on me disappeared. I didn't rush out to buy luxury things. Instead, I paid off my student loans and placed a large portion of the money into a savings account for my future. I even started a small investment fund that I hope will help pay for my children's college one day. Standing in my quiet apartment that night, I thought about Grandma and whispered a thank you. If your family has ever tried to twist a will or take something that was meant for you, then you know how deep that betrayal can cut. Money can reveal sides of people you never expected to see. But sometimes standing your ground is the only way to protect what someone trusted you with. If you've lived through something like this, share your story in the comments. Someone reading it might need to know they're not alone. And subscribe if you want more real stories like this. Did this story hit close to home for you? Let me know by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Click Hype to help this story reach more people who understand this kind of family battle. Your support truly makes a difference.